Welcome back to the Happiest Sad Person Podcast. I'm Alessandra, your diligently returning host. You know, I'm fulfilling my goal of recording once a week, so it feels good to be back on a schedule. Let's hope that this continues. I feel good about it, but I guess we shall see. So I'm recording on a Sunday, coming off of a pretty decent hangover from Friday, I should say, from drinking from Friday through all of Saturday, and now it's Sunday, and I've been up and running today, so it feels good. But yeah, for me, when I drank a good amount, I can't say no to free drinks. My dad raised me well, and so I didn't really eat pretty much anything that day, and there were just some appetizers I was able to eat at the event, and then there was a change of weather which impacted my sinuses. So for me, it was the perfect storm of the hangover of the season, literally the perfect storm, like that movie with the guys on the ship. Yeah, that's what that hangover was like. So definitely feeling better. And on that same note, ankle update. Soon these will be done. I'll come up with a new way to open the podcast. But, if you're invested for whatever reason in this saga for me, I'll give you a little update. I've been doing physical therapy 3 times a week. Definitely, I can feel the improvement from physical therapy. But this is a whole new process. I think the getting back to normal from an improvement state is going to be the longest endeavor. Really getting rid of this limp that I have and improving my strength, my mobility, for the range of motion for my ankle. I was at a 9 for a score, and I should be between a 10 and 15. So it's going to take time, and I can definitely feel how weak I am. I've been doing my physical therapy homework on the days that I'm not doing physical therapy itself. So I feel optimistic, but then there's always a part of me that's like, oh my God, what if I have this limp forever? What if I am always hobbling around forever? What if I never quite get back to normal? What if the numbness on the top of my foot doesn't go away? But then I have to keep remembering and hearkening back to when I couldn't walk down the stairs, and my brain went, oh my God, what if I never walk down the stairs again? What if I can't, do basic movement again? So I have to keep reminding my brain that I've been through this before in other ways, and so I have to believe and know that everything will get back to normal. I just have to be patient and just get through the journey. And I feel like this is what this episode is going to be about, which is embracing the journey, embracing the process, being patient, and not hurrying or, muscling my way through. Because that's often what I do in life, is I just, power through, push through, and just get over it, get through it without enjoying the experience. And then I look back and wish that I had just been more, present in my life in that experience. And yeah, another humorous thing about physical therapy was, so I do the ladder for foot agility, ankle agility, speed, whatever. And I had to do a more complex one, which was in, out at an angle. So go, lead with your left foot, go in at an angle, out, back in, but always lead with your left foot. I could do it with my right foot. Could not, to save my life, do it with my left foot. I think it's a brain thing where my brain couldn't comprehend the lead with your left foot. And it was so embarrassing. I had the different head physical therapy guy doing it with me, and there was just literally nothing else for me to say except, I don't think my brain is working. I don't think I can do this. And I could catch myself, getting red and being embarrassed and feeling incompetent. And that's like a major crux for me, is feeling incompetence, feeling like people think I'm stupid or inept or not capable of grasping something, a concept, a physical thing. Like I've had experiences in the past where I sort of have gotten made fun of for that. And I just like, for me, competence is something that I pride myself in. And so when I couldn't get to that level of ability or agility, in this case, doing that more complicated ladder thing, I started making excuses. I started getting to that version of me that I recognize that I've tried to get over, which is like making excuses, apologizing, feeling guilty, feeling bad, when in reality, there's a lot of things I can't do in my life. There's a lot of things other people can't do in their lives. But I definitely caught myself falling into those old behaviors of being very apologetic and very awkward and uncomfortable and feeling very dejected after. And so I didn't like that. I left there after like leaving there, before feeling very like excited and like good, getting more mobility. I felt very dejected and embarrassed. And I realized that I used to think I was over all of these feelings and like I've done the work. So now I'm, that issue for me is closed. That door is closed. And it was very humbling to realize that you never quite get over those humps, those issues, those, I guess Horcruxes, if you're a Harry Potter fan, like those like little things, they just appear in different settings in your life, and you have to continuously, the journey, work through them in different circumstances. And so I was a little upset with that realization, but I now get that you're always working through things. You're always becoming more yourself, more self-actualized, just in different ways. And it'll appear maybe more subtly. It won't be so overt, but you have to sort of remain present and remind yourself to get rid of that ego. Because I had another experience recently, and it sort of goes back to the beginning of the episode with my hangover. It was a celebration for the opening of a golf club, like a private club. And my family and I were guests of the event. And I wasn't going to go initially, but I thought, I'll go. Why not? And, I'm not a golf club goer. I didn't grow up, well-to-do. I grew up very working class, and I still, oh my God, am I still very much, working class. And I just felt this, like, as soon as I walked in, I just felt this wave of like, oh, you have to impress people. You have to be, hoity-toity to prove yourself, to prove your worth, to prove you deserve to be there, because like, you're not a member, you don't have any, your connection is like through a connection of a connection. Like you essentially don't belong here. Imposter syndrome. And, in actuality, I really don't belong there, because I literally don't belong to the club. But I also am not a part of that economic echelon. I'm not, I don't make enough money to even literally apply to go to that club. And that's another humbling experience. And for me, I have a lot of trouble feeling like the outlier. I already feel like the outlier as it is, pursuing a more creative career, going about things differently, not really believing in the traditional ways of being. I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to fulfill the traditional requirements, especially as a girl. Like, you're supposed to want all those things, and I don't. So I already feel like an outsider. And then even more so, for me, this probably stems from growing up, I always felt like my family would be invited as like almost like the sympathy invite. Like, we didn't really come from money, and And so there would be people that would I would encounter growing up that had really beautiful homes and things, and I always felt like I didn't belong financially. And granted, some of these people they weren't as wealthy as the person who was opening this golf club, but it always felt like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have that, you don't come from that. Like, it always felt like we were the bottom of the barrel. And I know that money doesn't define who you are. And I firmly believe that you don't need money to be intellectual or come across as funny, smart, charismatic. I don't think that defines you, but money does give you a sense of power. It does open doors for you. It does, in the case of this event, I don't know the customs of golf clubs. Like, I didn't realize you needed a number to get a drink from the bar. Like, I didn't know that. Like, for example, I didn't fly until I was 16. So even though I've flown a lot since then, I don't have, like, as a child, a lot of those things that, people upper middle class, like, know and are sort of ingrained in them as children, I didn't have. So I had to learn a lot of these, like, more well-to-do customs on my own. And so it was a lot of trial and error, and it was a lot of embarrassment. And so I think I have trouble asking, like, what is this? What does this mean? Or, like, where is this, what's this come from? Like, what should I do? I really try to be, like, pretend like I fit in, pretend like I belong. And it can sometimes feel embarrassing. And I don't like that feeling. And I always joke, like, my dream was to be a nepotism baby. I was dropped off with sometimes, like, I almost feel like the wrong family. And you might think, oh, that's cruel for you to say. But I think from a young age, I recognized what money can give you, what access can give you. Sorry if there's been a beeping in the background. I'm sitting in my car recording right now. But I've always realized what the opportunities money can give you, and how people can look at you, and the respect you receive, and people take you seriously and offer you opportunities. And, I've been lucky to be able to, like, make connections here or there, but the connection of money, the connection of power that comes via money is something that is just undescribable. It just boosts you up so many notches. And it's something I so desperately want, and it's something I desperately want to be a part of. And there's a part of me that is grossed out by that, because I do think that, money can also change you in a lot of negative ways. And it comes back to the question too, can you even be a benevolent rich person? Like, is the system, if you are even a part of the system where you are wealthy, where are people starving and on the streets and homeless, and the whole system of America where, essentially to make a good amount of money, you need to own property and rentals and that sort of thing. And then are you inherently a part of the system that is not allowing, people to have homes in America and have affordable homes? Can you be a benevolent landlord? That's another major question. And in a lot of ways, the answer sometimes is no. And so am I seeking this life, this thing? Then, who knows, it might not happen, but am I seeking out this thing that would change me for the worse? Like, would I be the same without, sort of like the financial struggle, the working class, trying to pull yourself up from those proverbial bootstraps? Like, when I get there, when I pull myself up, if that's even possible, will I be me? And, I had a friend once, I remember we were walking around the side streets of Philly, and she was like, I don't know if you, she made it seem like it was inevitable I'd come across money or become wealthy, which was flattering. But she's like, I don't know if when you become wealthy, you'll still be you. And part of me, that hurt, because I don't want my identity to be attached to the struggling artist mentality. Part of me was flattered because, again, she assumed it was a given that I'd come across money. Hopefully it's through creative endeavors. And then part of me was a little, fearful of that. Like, maybe that is the truth. Maybe a lot of my personality is tied up in that struggle. And then a part of me was like, rejected that concept, because I think that I'll always have that existential drive for finding out what the meaning of life is, what my role in the universe is, the world is, like, what can I do to continuously be better? So ultimately, that final concept was what I landed on, in that hopefully I do make enough money to be very comfortable and be generous with my family and be able to buy a home and be successful and, do all these creative things that I want that take money. But I'll always be striving for more, in that more is more information, more understanding of me. Like I said before, with all of these sort of like little moments with ego coming into play over and over, I'll always be working, trying to be more sinewy with how I respond to these struggles, and having less ego come into play in my life when those moments come up, and not being so fearful or sort of weak in my response to those moments. Like, so back to the other night, I responded by being cold initially with people and struggling to fit in and feeling like the outsider again. And I needed to remind myself, like, there are a lot of people that don't maybe quite fit in at this event. Like, there are other people that are maybe invited as, like, friends of friends, and like, I'm a human being. I can still connect with people on that level, and I need to be patient that I'm not at a level where I can be a part of that world at the moment and buy into it myself. Sure, I'm fortunate I can be invited to those situations, but financially I'm not at a place at all where I can afford it. And that's okay. I'm just moving at a different pace, and I have to keep embracing the journey, and being at a different place in my life doesn't make me bad or less than. It just makes me different. I didn't get a lot of like financial opportunities that a lot of other people have had. I just didn't. And that's okay. And I missed out on maybe some etiquette experiences, and I'm a little behind the starting line with that. And it's okay sometimes not to know, social norms, constructs, that sort of thing. Like, somebody had to learn at some point. Like, some of these kids that were born into it, are raised and they have that, and other people have to learn as an adult. And I just have to be patient, and I have to put aside my ego sometimes and ask, what do I do in this situation? How do I behave? Or laugh it off. And it's okay if you are the imposter in that situation sometimes, if you make a joke of it and make light of it. And that's going to be a major crux for me, because I just don't like feeling like the poor little pity invite, the outsider, in that I'm the broke one. I should be grateful to be there. I guess I don't like the feeling of like the guilt. It's probably all in my head, but I want to feel like I belong. I paid my way there. I'm fairly there just like everybody else. I don't like feeling the guilt of having to be overly like grateful and that sort of thing. Obviously, I'm respectful and I'm grateful anytime someone invites me or includes me in something, but I don't want it to be obligatory. I want to feel like I have more say and more power within my own world, because I'd like to make the world a better place, and often that does require money and power. And that's ultimately this realization I'm coming to, that, if I do want to make changes, you have to sometimes buy into a system a little bit, a system you might not agree with, but you can change it from the outside a lot slower than you can the inside with the money, the power, the capital, the social capital, the fiscal capital, all of those combined. And I'd like to change things quicker rather than slower. And I have to remind myself along the way that I shouldn't lose myself in the process, and I don't need to lose myself in the process. As long as I stay true to who I am and remain present and really trying to eschew this ego that I have, and, keep myself grounded by being mindful of helping others and being present for others, and, connecting myself to what's happening in the world and not losing, touch with that as time goes by, I can still be me and then be the more successful version of me that can make a bigger difference on the planet. And I hope that's the case. I hope I do become successful. I am flattered that a lot of people in my life seem to take that for granted. It's more of a when, not an if. And so that's always very flattering to hear that from people. And you might be listening to this and think, oh, this girl does have such an ego. She really does need to clear out that ego. But for me, I want to clear out the ego that responds with fear and anger rather than the ego that responds to, success with me say, oh, I don't deserve that. I for a long time, I shut down the feeling of me ever having success because I found it scary and I found it not possible for a long time, because I didn't really have a lot of self-confidence build up from the people around me, or, teachers, or I didn't have mentors or anything. So I didn't really get that feeling of, oh, you're going to have success one day. You deserve it. You're a human being that deserves certain things. I really missed out on that experience. And so I think that's translated to a sort of a bizarre low self-esteem, where I do, in my heart of hearts, think I deserve good things and a nice life, but I, transcending that and bringing that up to the surface and making me actually feel it has been tough. And so I'm enjoying realizing that I do deserve nice things and the same things everybody else does, which is a good life, a nice home, good relationships with people, comfort, and, sort of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I deserve the entirety of the hierarchy. I used to feel guilty for the first level. I used to feel guilty if anyone did anything for me. And I don't want to feel that way anymore. And I don't like feeling that way anymore. And, that sort of lack mindset doesn't do anything for you. It just sort of makes you have this constant guilt and anxiety, and it makes you really think that you are sort of like the pity invite at the party, and that you should be so overtly grateful. And so I think I had that growing up, but then I maybe perpetuated it in my own life. And so I need to keep, I guess, imposter syndrome, in that I need to keep masquerading as the person that I know I am and should be, which is somebody that's, proud of myself and successful and carries myself well and keeps my head high and has good etiquette and manners, and the person that I want to be and will be and ultimately am, deep down. I truly do think that I deserve a life that's definitely better than what it is now and what it was growing up, and feeling like the outsider, like the person that should feel so grateful to be have a seat at the table, to even be at the party, let alone a seat at the table. I should just be grateful someone opened the door for me. And that doesn't get you anywhere, and I'm so over feeling that way. And so, to fit with the concept of the journey, enjoying the journey, enjoying the experience. I wanted to sort of have pulled two quotes that I feel like fit that, and one's a little longer than the other. But another concept for me that I always like to think of is balance. And so this is a quote about enjoying the journey and doing it with balance. For everything in this journey of life we are on, there is a right wing and a left wing. For the wing of love, there is anger. For the wing of destiny, there is fear. For the wing of pain, there is healing. For the wing of hurt, there is forgiveness. For the wing of pride, there is humility. For the wing of giving, there is taking. For the wing of tears, there is joy. For the wing of rejection, there is acceptance. For the wing of judgment, there is grace. For the wing of honor, there is shame. For the wing of letting go, there is the wing of keeping. We can only fly with two wings, and two wings can only stay in the air if there is balance. Two beautiful wings is perfection. There is a generation of people who idealize perfection as the existence of only one of these wings every time. But I see that a bird with one wing is imperfect, an angel with one wing is imperfect, a butterfly with one wing is dead. So this generation of people striving to always cut off the other wing in the hopes of embodying their ideal of perfection, and in doing so have created a crippled race. This is from C. Joybell C. And I will leave you with a lovely quote from Walt Whitman from the book Leaves of Grass, which I highly recommend. Really beautiful, more long-form poetry. There's a poem about something fairy from Brooklyn, I think. A really beautiful poem. But here's this. Not I nor anyone else can travel that road for you. You must travel it by yourself. It is not far. It is within reach. Perhaps you have been on it since you were born and did not know. Perhaps it is everywhere, on water and on land. All right. And on that note, I think I shall leave you. Just remember that life is a journey. You should enjoy it, even the bad parts, because it makes the good parts all that more beautiful. I know it's harder to hear that when you're in a moment of pain or strife, but it really is true. And just be patient with yourself. Just know that all the problems and cruxes that you have in your life, they're going to resurface in a different way, and that is all right, and that is what life is. But, the cyclical nature of existing, and you can't get everything done in a day. What would you do if all your work on earth was complete? I mean, you wouldn't really have a life anymore. It would just be hedonism and chaos, and it wouldn't feel like the life that we so enjoy, which is the high moments, the low moments, and the sort of beautiful monotony of learning lessons in the in-between. So, as always, please email questions, concerns, comments, criticisms, anything else you would like, suggestions for what else you want to see, to 11jacobsa@gmail.com. And yeah, thanks for listening, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, evening, morning, whenever you're listening. Bye.